So whenever I'm feeling particularly stressed or things have gotten heavy just around me, I like to take a walk. And it's been helpful for me last few years that I've done it. Really, it's been a practice for me to get out and just take a walk just to clear my mind. And what I often like to do when I'm walking, whether it's my neighborhood, around my house, or around the core, or when I lived in Chicago, I walked around a couple blocks there, is to pray. And for me, I really felt like prayer as I'm walking was very beneficial. It just helped keep my mind engaged and what I was thinking about. And when I pray, I don't listen to other things. I just try to think about what God has been saying to me and how he's speaking to me in quiet moments. Because sometimes I do need to get away. There's rest that I need. I feel like the last couple of months, I haven't gotten that personally, and I don't know about you, but I feel like we could all use some rest. The last few months have been really heavy with COVID, with the racial unrest that we've seen in our country, and it's just been really hard to handle it all. And it feels like there's this burden, this heaviness that is weighing on us, and it's hard to escape from because you see about it in the news, you read about it, you talk to your friends about it, and it's just seems like it's everywhere, and it's hard. But I think rest is something that's especially important now. And certainly I need to discipline myself to do that better. I don't know if I always do that as best as I can. I think I'm try to stay busy and have a lot of things on my mind, so I try to do stuff. But sometimes that's not the right way to go. Sometimes the best thing you need to do is just to stop. And what I've discovered in the last number of years is digging deeper into this idea of Sabbath, because Sabbath is critical for us, and sometimes we're just not very good at taking it or practicing it in a real way. Sabbath in the Old Testament was an important part of their ritual and their practice as believers in Yahweh and in God. And Sabbath, I think, functioned for a number of respects. One, when they were not supposed to do work, it was really a justice thing, for one, that it was really intended to prevent exploitation of people because they couldn't work and you couldn't just take advantage of them. Two, it gave people who were working a time to rest, which was also very important, very helpful. And I think three, it helped from making work an idol, because that could be your idol. It could become your God. So Sabbath was a way of recognizing who's ultimately in charge, who's taking care of things, and who's taking care of me. Ultimately, that's God. That's God's job. And what is my main focus? Well, it's not my work. It's not the things here. It's really God who's supposed to be our focus. So Sabbath functioned in those ways. And I think for all of us in these days, Sabbath needs to take on an important role if it hasn't already, because it is hard to handle all the things that we're facing at this moment and all the big societal issues we're trying to deal with, whether it's COVID, whether it's racial justice, racial reconciliation. Those are heavy things, and we think about how are we being healthy, for one, how are we taking care of our families, and how are we working towards justice in our country, in our own communities, in our churches, in our families. And those are heavy topics, and sometimes we just need to acknowledge, hey, God's got this, and we need to rest too. We can't make work an idol for ourselves. We need to make sure we're putting God in his proper place, making sure we're acknowledging who he is and acknowledging that we need him, and he's our number one, no matter what. So this day, if you're tired, remember the Sabbath. Remember that God wanted us to take a Sabbath to recognize him, to put work in its proper place, to give us rest, and do it. I think that's what we need a lot right now with everything that's happening. We need to make sure we're resting, that we're healthy, because with some of these issues, you know, the COVID stuff, that's not going away anytime soon. This justice thing, people have been working on it for decades. It's not going away anytime soon, and we need a break. We need to take care of ourselves, because we're in this for the long run. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So remember to take your Sabbath. Be healthy, be well, rest in God and who He's made you to be. He will give you strength for today.